Good morning, everyone. It's Luis Concepcion from Strategic Profit Line Trading, coming to you with the plan of the week for week number 25. Following are disclosure statements. As always, this content is for educational purposes only, and I'm not providing any investment advice. It's not tailored to one individual, and everyone must understand their investing and time horizon. Past performance does not guarantee future results or success, and all investments and trades involve risks, including the loss of principal. Here's our agenda for the week. As always, I'll cover the news, provide a quick market overview on the indices, and this week, again, slowing down even more than last week. We got 61 companies reporting earnings. Last week was a slow week. Tech did take off with the big factor being the split on NVIDIA and Apple. So provided six zones and nothing hit last week unless you were trading more advanced strategies. And the only thing that closed in the zone and was starting to work was Play, also known as Dave and Buster's on Friday. Here's the outlook for earnings this week. I'll do my best to provide some zones to go ahead and trade this week, and we'll take it from there. So moving into our news this week, as you can see, starting on Monday, we have a manufacturing index pre-market. All our news this week that's going to affect the U.S. stock market is going to be all pre-market. For those of you trading the Australian dollar, understand they have some reports coming out in the evening. Moving on to Tuesday, we got retail sales again pre-market that'll affect the U.S. indices. For those of you trading the British pound, be mindful that they have a report in the evening. Moving on to Wednesday, nothing affecting us. Wednesday morning, the market should be closed because of June 19th holiday. So everything will be closed. So no trading on Wednesday. The New Zealand dollar will have a report in the afternoon. Then when the markets open back up on Thursday, we got unemployment claims that will cause some volatility first thing in the morning. Very early, you can see we have a report on the British pound and on the Swiss franc. So be mindful of that for those of you trading Forex and futures. And then lastly, moving on to Friday, you can see the euro is being affected very early in the morning, followed by the British pound. And then we'll have two reports 15 minutes after the open for the US markets. And that's going to do it for our news this week. Moving into our charts, as you can see, I'm starting with the S&P 500 or the SPX. You can see that we again made all new time highs. We have a gap up that we need to fill. There is no supply in the indices, especially the SPX and the NDX. So we got 53.58.18 to 53.25 on the demand side for the S&P 500 or SPY for those of you who trade the ETF, and for those of you who trade the cash market at SPX. That's the first zone I have for you. Again, there is no supply in the S&P 500. Moving on to the NASDAQ or the NDX for those of you who trade the Qs. Here's the level I have for you. No supply on the Qs in tech. The first zone I have for you is 1980.44 to 18,921.79. And that's going to do it for us on the Qs. Moving on to the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones, as you can see, is weaker. It is a lot weaker than the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. The first supply zone I have for you is 397.31 to 399.12. For those of you who want to cover your entire basis and just include the all-time high, you can do 397 to roughly call it 401. Even for supply zone on the Dow Jones. On the demand side, you got 376.06 to 370.18. And again, don't be surprised if the Dow Jones just moves sideways this week, or it may catch up to the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ and move higher. Moving on to the rut. What can we say? The good old rut, this level has been holding all year. So if this is the only trade you've taken this year, every time we come up here, you can say you got a good batting record. That supply zone is going to remain 2075 and a quarter to 2138.54. And on the demand side, we have 1887.93 to 1847.64. And that's going to do it for our indices this week. Moving on to the stocks I have for you this week. So, first one I have for you is Lennar. On the demand side, we have 141.46 to 137.26. And as you can see, its all-time highs was 172.59. So no supply for Lennar. We're on KBH. So KB Homes, building homes everywhere. You got on the demand side 51.66 to 49.77, and on the supply side you got 74.72 to 82.35. Next company is ACN. ACN's having a rough year this year. With that being said, you got 253.45 on the demand side and 242.18 to 242.18. On the supply side, you got 336.69 to 347.23. And in the event of an overshoot, you can see right here, we got 373.57 to 388.39. There also is another level on the demand side at 229.66 to 210.70 in the event of an overshoot. Moving on to Kroger. So Kroger is in a zone right now. As you can see, this level is starting to work. See how this plays out prior to earnings. In the event this level doesn't hold at 49.87, 48.86, you have another level here at 45.90 to 45.10. On the supply side, you got 57.59 to 59.13. Moving on to Darden. Excuse me. On the demand side, we got 142.43 to 139.32. And on the supply side, we got 165.57 to 168.24. Moving on to JBL. On the supply side, 145.90 to 150.45. And on the demand side, we got two levels overlapping here. The first one's going to be 92.52 to 88.78 and 85.44 to 83.18 on the demand side. Moving on to Winnebago. On the demand side, 52.98 to 51.71, and on the supply side, 73.32 to 76.30. Moving on to CarMax. This is the level that's been holding CarMax, 68.01 to 64.68. Understand that this level has worked numerous times. In the event of an overshoot on earnings, you got 61.57 to 59.55. And on the supply side, you got 82.28 to 84.55. And another level to 90.54 to 90.53. And the last company I have for you this week is FactSet. So FactSet on the demand side, we got 360.20 to 352.43 with another level right underneath that at 345.21 to 331.84. And on the supply side, we got 484.71 to 495.71. That's going to wrap it up for us for the charts. With that being said, here's my contact information for those of you who want to check out the website. For when I have upcoming courses coming up, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me. For those of you not doing so already, go ahead and follow me on social media. And if you haven't done so already, do me a favor and hit that like button. Until next time, happy trading. And for all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day.